everybody, and welcome to Faith, Friends, and Hustle. I'm excited this week. I get to talk with my good friend, Paula Grimes. Paula, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What should we know? What should the listeners know about Paula?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start with this. So I'm going to keep it kind of on our topic this week. And I would say that most of my challenges in life were created by bad decisions that I made.
Bad decisions. Well, that's intriguing.
Now, as I say that, I think about it a little bit more, and that isn't totally true. And yet, when I think about kind of the topic for today, that's where my mind goes first is like, hey, what are all these things that I had to have fortitude to get through? And I'm like, wow, I really created those situations myself and then found myself in a situation that wasn't easy to get out of or move through.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I am looking forward to this conversation today. Like always, I have friends. I hear their stories. I love them deeply. And then I think about what word comes to mind when I think of them and when it comes through. And I wanted to have a conversation with you today about fortitude. That is the topic and the conversation that we're going to have today.
Okay.
I wanted to start with just the environment and world we're in today. Why do you think fortitude is still relevant? Why does it even matter to think about this topic?
It's funny because when I think of the world through today, so my childhood, I think, really set me up to have fortitude. So even though I made some not so great decisions as an adult, I got through those because my childhood set me up to get through those. And when I look at today and why it's so important, we have so much coming at us so fast and so quickly that I think sometimes we forget that being in something for the long haul and putting in the hard work is really where the big payoffs are.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. There is a lot of noise that we're hearing on a daily basis that is pouring into us that we have to filter. And that filtering takes energy and it takes thought to process through it and figure out, what do I do next?
Oh, 100%. I mean, there are so many shiny objects coming at us that it's real easy to not be consistent with something, not stay focused on something, change up our goals. Like it's just, that's kind of the world that's evolving around us.
Yeah. So how do you think adversity has shaped your understanding of fortitude now compared to when you're younger? Because you said it was a series of decisions that you believe you could describe with fortitude, maybe build fortitude out, right? Having the courage to go through adversity and things like that. So how do you think it shaped your definition over the years?
So let me start with how did my childhood set me up with fortitude, right? Because it did shape me.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom died when I was 4. So as a very, very young child, I dealt with something huge, right? That even a lot of adults haven't dealt with till later in life. I think that was my first step into it because I'd lost the center of my universe and life had to keep going. So I found the strength in that. The other thing that happened when that happened is I had 2 younger brothers. And because they were brothers and because I lost my mother, I mentally stepped into that role, even though I wasn't an adult to be able to step into it. But in my mind, it was now my job, right, to take care of them.
Yeah.
So from a very young age, I stepped into this space. And then in addition to that, my father was in the military and we moved every 3 years. So I was making new friends, leaving old friends behind, getting used to a new school. So I had a lot of change that I had to work through as a child, in addition to what a lot of kids do have to work through, right? So I started a new grade, but I might be starting a new grade in a whole new state, a whole new school with nobody I knew. So I had to have the grit to work through all that and still do really well. So I believe that my childhood set me up for having the strength to go through things I've gone through in adulthood.
Yeah. Do you find that fortitude is more of one of those reflective words? And what I mean by that is there's present words where you know you're taking action, right? Like being brave, being courage, or I'm going to like achieve my goal, or I'm going to make it through this. And then there's these reflective words where I hear you say that stuff, and I wonder, you probably had no idea that you're having courage against adversity during those times.
Oh, I didn't at all. And in fact, when you brought this word to my attention, I thought for a minute, I'm like, wow, I've never thought about that word in relation to me. And yet it is really applicable, and it is absolutely a reflective word. It's like looking back and seeing all these areas where I had grit and strength to get through whatever it was I needed to get through.
Yeah, and very let me change that. So going back to it, what's interesting is you started the conversation by saying a lot of those decisions and stuff that were adversity or caused that in your life were caused by you. And yet what I hear you describe is a lot of it wasn't. You had no choice over the outcome of a loss of a loved one, right? Of your mother. You have no control of a military lifestyle that where you're moving around and making new friends.
Right, right. And I guess when I started looking back, because I feel a lot of what shaped me as an adult and formed me as an adult are these things I've gone through as an adult. But when I look back, what shaped me as a child was out of my control, and yet it 100% set me up to handle the things I needed to handle as an adult. Now, were there other people and other circumstances involved in my struggles? 100%. It's not like I was in it alone,
Yeah.
yet I put myself in those situations because I was young and I didn't know any better. And I thought life was going to be different.
Yeah. So now that you've had experience and you've went through life, we now identified what fortitude could look like. Have you developed any tools or models that you use, or maybe a thought process and approach you take to get through adversity now?
It's funny because I don't know that I've put them together now, right? They've formed over time. Um, One is I'm very goal oriented. I'm very clear on what I want to achieve, and I'm very strategic on what I want to achieve. And it doesn't always come, the journey doesn't always look like I initially planned it. So don't get me wrong, right? But I have an initial strategy and I might change that strategy over time, but I'm always very clear on what I want to accomplish and where I'm going. And because I stay focused on that, um, I really don't get sidetracked along the way. And in fact, actually, as I say that, that can work as a weakness, right? I'm worse at changing my mind about something. So when I get focused on a goal, it's like, I am going to achieve this. And sometimes I need to change along the way and maybe change my goal. And it takes me a little bit to make that change because I'm so focused on, hey, this is the end. This is what it's going to look like when I get there.
Because of that thought process and the way you're looking back on it, do you now see that in your children? Have they picked up on this attribute or examples that you led them through?
It's funny. I have two daughters, and one of them is very much like me. She's very much picked up on that. The other one has her own way of thinking, her own way of doing things, but she's going to do it her way. And she is going to accomplish things in her own time. She does it differently, but she's still stubborn about getting to where she wants to go.
Yeah.
and how it's more stubborn about how she's going to get there. Like, nobody tell her how she's going to get there. She's going to figure this all out on her own.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. I think we all have people in our circle in our lives we know that take that role on, right? Either now, currently, forever, or in certain just moments of time.
Yeah. But I would say both my daughters do have fortitude. It just
Yeah.
may look a little bit different than me. Yeah.
Does it show up in your coaching clients? Do you identify that? Because you're a coach, so you and I help other potential people reach their goals, achievements, and look through there. So with your coaching clients, do you notice that you gravitate towards those clients that have fortitude?
I think I actually gravitate towards clients that have it but may not believe in themselves yet, right? They really want it, but maybe don't have the confidence yet that they can accomplish it. And I know they can accomplish it, right? So it's building up that confidence in along the way during the journey, as they're going to achieve their goals. So they have the fortitude, they just don't necessarily maybe have the belief system that they have the fortitude.
Yeah. So how do you go about that conversation?
I think it's different with everybody. And I think everything goes back to our childhoods, right? They shape us a certain way, and we tend to believe in ourselves or not believe in ourselves in certain areas because of our childhood. So it's really identifying, hey, what's getting in the way of of their of their self-esteem, of their belief system in themselves that was created early on, right? And how do we get through that? Sometimes it's just constant encouragement. Sometimes it's just the reassurance that you're on the right track and you can do that. And that's all they need to hear over and over and over again. Sometimes it's way deeper than that.
Yeah, it comes down to a lot of how do you think about courage? And it's not what the TV shows you. And it comes up so often in the conversations I have because it's a falsehood and it's a lie. And if you believe in those lies and the way it's portrayed, you certainly can have confidence, or you not believe in yourself, or be built up with a thought process, right? That's not accurate, where courage is all about doing it scared.
Yes, 100%. It's stepping outside your comfort zone and into something that makes you really uncomfortable and that's scary, and yet knowing that you can get through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's others that have, and you're
Yeah,
certainly a testament to that.
right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, what would you want someone who listened to this and they tuned out all the way until the last couple of minutes here? What would you want them to walk away with? What do you want them to hear?
Sometimes we need to slow down to speed up. And the skill is knowing when to slow down and when to speed up. And what I mean by that is we are moving so fast these days. We move so fast through data, through communication. We are just moving at the speed of light. And yet, when we're making big decisions, it's like slow down, think through that decision, because you want to speed up, but you want to speed up when you're ready to move into action, not speeding up when you're trying to make a big decision, right? And what I mean by that is, let's say I want a brand new car, right? And I can go for that instant gratification where I can go down and I can buy that brand new car that I can afford on that lot. And I can go do that in 2 hours, right? Or I can stop and think about it and slow down. And is this really the right thing for me to do right now? Would this money be better spent elsewhere? Or if I saved up for a year, could I buy an even better car? Right? What is it I truly want? And yet it's slowing down to think through, hey, where do I want to go? And how am I going to get there? And what do I need to learn and develop along the way to get there?
Yeah, so important to be purposeful about what we learn.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
school is one of those things that happens to us, a good thing, a great thing, but it happens to us. But after that, I think it's important that you have to be purposeful in what you need to do to learn and grow to go achieve all those great things you just said.
Yeah. And anything that comes easy isn't in the long time worth having. It's the things that come hard that are worth having.
Brilliantly said. A pleasure as always. Thank you for jumping on with me.
You're welcome.
For all of our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Have a blessed rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon.